Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment as the 2023 NFL free agency period is now underway and the Tennessee Titans have began to make somewhat significant moves. I think this has been a medium beginning to the free agency period for the Tennessee Titans, and I think we mostly expected that. I think those of us that were rational about how much cap space we had, which was about $24 million, and considering the fact that we probably were going to let some guys go and did. Bud Dupree still, as of this moment, hasn't been released, so we still might get some more cap space, but this is about what a lot of us were expecting. Now, I don't want anyone to go overboard here, which, to be honest, I'm kind of seeing. And look, I don't want to be a negative Nancy. I think I can be a little bit negative. I don't think we did anything bad here. I don't think we did anything particularly great either. I think it was very medium. I think it was very fine. And then there could be a gem or two out of this. I don't even know if I call them gems, but good pickups. I don't know if there's going to be a genuine gem that we got here, but I think considering the fact that we would just love to even just get one starting offensive lineman, like a good one, and I think there's a chance that we have. And then, some nice depth and maybe a good starter. Maybe you might see three starters here if they're good, three good starters in free agency. I think it's fine. I think it's medium, but I think considering the cap space, I think it was, fair and it's fine. But I also can't sit here and say that this roster is going to be improved from last season. So, and look, I don't know if anyone was expecting that. Maybe I don't think I was. But at the end of the day, the players we cut are still better than the players we got. So I can't get too excited here, but I think there were some things that were done here that I like and that are encouraging. So we are going to discuss this in mostly an encouraging light, but let's not go crazy here. I already saw some people saying, oh, Rand Carthon, he's a genius. He's getting all these cheap deals. I'm like, how many starters do we actually definitively have from this period? Because I count definitive. Like starting that, by the way, guys that have been started extensive amount of time, and you're really talking one. Maybe two, you can argue 2.5. Really two. So it's nothing crazy. It's good depth, and I like what we did when it comes to the restricted free agents. So let's begin with the tackle Andre Dillard, whom the Tennessee Titans picked up from the Philadelphia Eagles, the former first-round pick in 2019, 3 years. $29 million for Andre Dillard. Now, here is the thing when it comes to Andre Dillard. He's been a backup, period. Okay? There's been periods where he has started, mostly due to injury, and he was slated to start, and I want to say it was either 2019 or 2020, but then he got injured in training camp. Jordan Mailata took his job and never looked back. And then occasionally there's been an injury that might have put Andre Dillard out there a little bit at left tackle, a little bit at right tackle, a little bit at guard. Nothing extensive. I think in his career now he's played just over 700 snaps. That's 3/4 of a season. So you're not even looking at, after 4 years, a season of experience here with Andre Dillard. You're not. So what you're paying Andre Dillard for is in the time you've seen him on the field, it's been pretty decent. And at times he's even flashed that he could be pretty damn good. He's very strong when it comes to his pass blocking. Run blocking is okay. And you're encouraged by this. And you are projecting, and this is a projection, that you think he could be a starting tackle or maybe guard, but probably starting tackle for us, right? If you're giving him 3 years, $29 million, which, by the way, is only $1 million less than starting right guard Nate Davis got, and he's definitely starting, then you probably think Andre Dillard has the potential to start. Now, let me look up. I'm not sure if the details ever came out on how much guaranteed money this is. Considering the fact that we have so much salary cap next year, this is a complete disaster, which it could be. You certainly could cut him after a year, and you wouldn't lose anything here. I don't think there'd be much, if any, dead cap even next year. Like maybe of this 29 million, usually you're gonna see at least half of it guaranteed. If you're not getting at least half, 60%, I don't know what your agent is doing. So let's assume maybe 15, 16 million is guaranteed, maybe upwards of 20, maybe if he really has a good agent. You could cut him after a year, and it would hurt a little bit, but it wouldn't crush you, especially with how much cap we have next year. Am I convinced that he's going to be the starting tackle for us? He's going to be a good tackle for us, and now the position is filled? No. I'm not even convinced. I think he will start next year, 100%. I'm not convinced he's going to do a good job. When he starts, I'm not convinced. I'm also not convinced that he won't. I am also old enough to remember Michael Orr. And some of you guys don't remember, this is way back in I want to say it was a 12 or 13, one of those 2 years. We got Michael Orr, a former first-round pick of the Baltimore Ravens and infamous for the blind side. But if you actually interacted with, at the time he was a former Raven, and you actually asked Raven fans, hey, is Michael Orr any good? And we were moving him from left tackle to right tackle. He was going to play right tackle for us. And everyone was like, no, y'all are screwed, dog. I know we just won a Super Bowl. This would have been 2013 because I think this is just after he won a Super Bowl too. And everyone was like, nah, dog, y'all are, this is going to be a nothing burger for you. He's going to come in there and he's not going to do anything. And he came in here and he didn't do anything. So I think it's not going to be that bad. And even Orr wasn't terrible, but he certainly wasn't the answer. And we saw that over time. So there is a slight potential for Michael Orr here. Okay, so those of you that are old enough to remember Michael Orr, should have been 2013, that signing. And Russell Webster was just like, oh no, Orr is starting. And we were like, okay. And then we did it and then it didn't work out. There's a chance for that. There's also a chance that he develops more here than he ever did in Philly. And now that he's not behind two of the better tackles in the league, he has an opportunity to start. He does very well. There's also a chance for that. He has had injuries. And when you're moving off of Lewan, which you had to do for his contract, you had to move off Taylor Lewan for his contract. And I think the bridge was burned. I don't think you were going to get Taylor Lewan back, even on a cheaper deal. I would have loved to gotten back for a 1 year, prove it, $7 million deal. And I would have felt more comfortable, to be honest, maybe with him than Dillard. Just because he has familiarity with this team, with this system, he's going to captain for this team, and he still has some years left, assuming he doesn't get injured again. If he gets injured again, he's mostly screwed. Whereas Dillard is still younger, so the potential's there. So I understand the swap here. I do. But it's not the home run I'm saying some people make it out to be. There's definitely some questions here when it comes to Andre Dillard, but it's fine. For a team that was desperate, it's fine. Now, my problem, though, is you simultaneously let go of Nate Davis. And this seems to be a schematic decision. Because you're looking at Dillard, who's a much better pass blocker than run blocker. Davis, who's a much better run blocker than a pass blocker. Are we moving towards more pass blocking offensive linemen? You also look at the addition of Brandon Drunskill at guard, the former 49er, who's also a much stronger pass blocker than a run blocker. This might be the case, and I know that's going to excite people. But we knew for a fact that Nate Davis was a good guard for us. And I was not anticipating this when we drafted him. When we drafted him, I thought he was overdrafted. I did not like his tape, but he came in here. He improved off his rookie year, and he's been good for the last 3 years. Last year, got a little nicked, but he's been good. I don't know if Andre Dillard is going to be good for us. So when Nate Davis gets 3 years, 30, Andre Dillard gets 3 years, 29, I'm like, I think I would have just kept Davis and just kept it pushing because we know what we're getting from Nate Davis. I don't know what we're getting from Andre Dillard. So that's where I have a point of contention for sure. I would have just kept Davis. Kept Davis right guard. I know everyone's excited about the potential of moving Nicholas Petit-Frere to guard. Don't really know why. In my opinion, look, he didn't play great last year at right tackle. Let him keep learning that position. I don't want to keep now moving him around, hoping, well, let's just move around and hope he gets better. Let him get better playing right tackle in the NFL. I still think he has a potential to be a very strong right tackle in the NFL. So I don't know where the excitement about moving Nicholas Petit-Frere to guard is coming from, other than okay, if you look at his size, you could project that. You can do that with a lot of tackles. That doesn't mean necessarily have to make the move. I want him to improve at that position. I don't want to worry about drafting another tackle, although we probably still are on the board for that. So, sign Dillard, let go of Nate Davis. Don't love the swap, but it's fine. I'm not completely hating on it. It's fine. What else do we get here? We get 49ers linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair. Now, this one is actually quite encouraging. He's played quite well in whenever he's been on the field for the 49ers defense. He shows some versatility. He shows some potential. This is likely, right now the reports are saying a 1 year deal up to $6 million. Interesting again that we move off of a David Long who got a 2-year, $11 million contract, and we give Azeez a little bit less. And Long has proven to be a starter, but Mike Vrabel hates him. I think they just don't get along. So I think that was really a point of contention. I think Vrabel wasn't messing with him anymore. So I think that was a point to move on to now Azeez. And, Rand Carthon has some familiarity with him. So I would expect that Azeez Al-Shaair will, certainly compete for a starting inside linebacker position next year, if not already have that penciled in. So I like that. It was cheap, like that. Jaguars outside linebacker Arden Key / defensive end. Arden Key, who killed us when we played the Jaguars in the last game of the season. Dennis Daly, geez, man, this guy's something else. This one encouraging. Now he got the same deal that DeMarcus Walker got, 3 years, $21 million. But Arden Key still has more potential. Arden Key was, I'm not sure people remember this. People thought he was going to be in contention to be the number 1 overall pick after his sophomore campaign at LSU. His junior campaign got hurt, production went down, ended up being a 3rd rounder, and there was also some character concerns about his effort and whatnot. He still has some of that potential. I don't think he's going to live up to ever being that number 1 potential pick again. I don't think he's ever going to be a double-digit sack guy, especially as a rotational pass rusher, which hopefully he is for us, because if he is, that means that, Harold Landry and Rashad Weaver are healthy, and we need them to be healthy. Or maybe if Key is just so great and then he just finally figures it out. But I would doubt it. I expected him to be a rotational guy, and I like him as a rotational guy. And I think now you feel good about this position. Landry back, Weaver, Key, draft another one. But I think now you don't have to do it day 2. Some people are already saying, no, you have to draft an edge in day 2. You don't have to do that. Draft one in day 3, either 4th or 5th. Keep it pushing. And we don't even have a 4th, so I guess the 5th, and keep it pushing, or sign someone else. I don't really care. You can sign someone else for cheap. I feel comfortable with those 3. We need one more. We need to be 4 deep at least. Ideally 5, but we'll take being as strong as we are there, considering the fact we still have Autry and Simmons and Tier Tart, and I'll even include Naquan, even though it doesn't really pass rush. But considering our defensive line at the moment, and I think we might still draft another defensive lineman, I feel comfortable now with our front 7 and our defense for the most part. We still need to see Monty Rice stay healthy, be on the field, and play well for an extended amount of time, but you feel comfortable about the front 7 now. So Arden Key comes into the fold. Brandon Drunskill, I mentioned him just briefly earlier, 49ers guard. Whenever he's been in there, he's played well. Now, he has started for them, was not a starter last year. They drafted Spencer Burford in the 1st round for a reason, people. They did draft him they didn't have to, but they did. They said, let's draft him instead of just starting Drunskill. But whenever he's been in there, he's been pretty good. And again, it's such a testament to the 49ers and their depth, that we can, get 49ers backups and we're already saying, well, you're starting. You're starting for us. So, hey, that shows how much depth they have and how much little talent we have. Wow, we have a ways to go. But yeah, so I expect him to start as of right now. And ideally, again, I think you'd want him. He still has the potential to even improve, because this is a guy that played tight end in college, played tackle when he first went to the NFL, has been playing guard for the last number of seasons. So even then, he's still learning the position and getting better. So I'm fine with him starting. And then Cowboys linebacker Luke Gifford. This is a special teams guy, one of the better special teams linebackers in the NFL. This is definitely going to be a Mike Vrabel guy. So I absolutely am okay with this and having no problem with Luke Gifford coming into the fold. That is one of the better ones. Let's discuss tenders. Okay, so we had some restricted free agents that have been tendered. And with 2nd round tenders as well, which means they ain't going nowhere. And hell, if you want them, you can take them. If you really want to give up a 2nd pick for either one of these guys, okay, we'll take it. So Aaron Brewer and Tier Tart have both been placed with 2nd round tenders. So teams can still sign them to offer sheets. But if they end up signing him, that means they have to give up a 2nd round pick. And while I like Tier Tart, I don't think he's worth a 2nd round pick right now. I'd take your 2nd round pick easily. And I'd flip that for either another defensive tackle or wide receiver, or any of the other positions that we need. So if you want to take them, sign them to whatever contract you want. And next year it's going to be a problem, because, and he was not happy, by the way. He tweeted shortly after the news came out that he was being tendered that, what did he say? I can't remember his exact phrasing, but it was like, um, he essentially was insinuating that it said no sale but for sale or something like that. Basically insinuating the fact that he's not happy he got tendered. He wanted to get extended to a long-term contract, and he's still searching for that. And look, I don't blame him for that. I know some people won't like to hear that. But if I'm him, look, he deserves more than the 4.6 million that he's gonna get next year. He deserves, I think at this point he's earned 7, maybe even 8. I think he is real, maybe 6 to 8, 6 to 8. And getting 4.6, it's less money than he deserves at this point. But that's what happens when you're an unrestricted free agent. You sign with the team. Now you're like coming out of college. You're undrafted free agent, undrafted rookie. You come in, and then now you're a restricted free agent for years, and that's just the way that it works. You discuss the CBA if you have a problem with that, or whatever it's called in the NFL. I'm thinking about is it still the CBA in the NFL? I guess it is. Maybe I'm thinking of the NBA. But yeah, collective bargaining, it should still be the same thing for the NFL. So, go discuss it with them. Go discuss it with the union and the players, because it sucks. But I'm happy to have him back for 4.6 million, because I don't think anyone's giving up a second-round pick for him, so I'm happy. Aaron Brewer, no way. Forget about it. I don't know if anyone would give up a 6th-round pick for Aaron Brewer, so he's definitely coming back. So expect Brewer and Tear Tart back. Will Aaron Brewer start? Are we okay with this? Do we like this? I think ideally, no. I think ideally you get a center and a guard, and you don't start Aaron Brewer. He's your backup, and you're probably going to need him, right? I mean, especially with this team, God knows we're going to use our backup guards. God knows it. God knows we're going to use our backup linemen. Hopefully, this curse is lifted. I'm not betting on that. So, I would still like ideally for Aaron Brewer to be a backup, but considering the fact we still have so many holes to fill, he might end up starting. And right now I have him starting at the center position most likely. We also added the tender for Naquan Jones. Good. Tear Tart has ended up being more valuable than him, but Naquan is still valuable against the run and still has a spot on this team as far as I'm concerned. I like Naquan Jones as for what he is. We will not, however, tender Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. And this was only supposed to be for, I want to say, 2.6 million. And we're like, no, we're good. We'd rather go find someone else. So, alas, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, time in Tennessee likely comes to an end. I know this is so sad for you Nick Westbrook-Ikhine fans. Now, to be honest with you, I'm going to stop trolling here. For 2.6 million, I might have done it. It was not terrible. But, hopefully we're in a position next year where we'd be able to cut him for once. So, for that price, it's too much. So, I get that. So, I understand why we did it. But as a 5 or a 6, I think he's fine. The problem is we've just been trotting him out there as a 3, which is absurd. And even occasionally as a 2 or even a 1. So, it's just, he just has been, miscast in that role for this franchise. So I wish him well. And also Cody Hollister's likely gone. So we're going to get some new wide receiver talent here. And my only thing is, and I'm excited for this, and I still want a wide receiver in the first 3 rounds at least, but we do need a veteran. We still need a veteran with these guys. And the wide receiver market has been pretty bad. Now, Jacoby Myers got underpaid from what we expected. He only got $11 million a year. Juju Smith-Schuster got the same thing. I can't believe they got the same deal, 3 years, $33 million. And no one else has really materialized yet. So I think you're going to be able to get some of these veteran wide receivers for cheap. And let's quickly go over some potential options that I would be interested in when it comes to some of these free agent wide receivers. And do not expect to, hopefully we don't do this ridiculousness again, to sign one of these guys and for them to come in and to be super productive. Even if anyone says they're a wide receiver 2, no, shut up. They're not a wide receiver 2. I don't even know if they're a wide receiver 3. Maybe they can be. Maybe they're going to come in here and pull a Robert Woods and they're not going to do anything. So DJ Chark, possible. Don't fall in love. Don't overpay him. Don't pay him $10 million a year. Don't do it. You're going to regret it. So, and he might get it still. I think now with Juju and Jacoby Myers getting 11, I think he's likely to get 8 or 9. I still think it's fine. I might do it for 2 years. Yeah, I might do that for 2 years, but you still better draft a wide receiver. Do not just tell me, wow, we have Burks and Chark and Phillips. We're good. No, you're not. Go get another wide receiver, please, in the first 3 rounds of the draft. Mecole Hardman, I think he's probably going to get about like 8 or 9 as well, maybe even like 7, because even he's produced less than Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and he got $10 million a year last year. Jarvis Landry, I still think he has something left. Now, again, I wouldn't even expect him to come in here and stay healthy. He hasn't stayed healthy the last number of seasons. Last year, only 272 yards. But he's a veteran, and I think he can come in here and add something. We need a veteran. If we go into next year with Burks, another rookie, and Phillips, and probably another rookie, that's not comfortable for me. You need a veteran pass catcher, and then that can be a little bit reliable. And we're going to have young tight ends. We're going to have Okonkwo, and I don't know who else we're going to have. Okonkwo, he was very reliable. It wouldn't surprise me if next year he drops a couple, as he continues to figure himself out at the next level. So we're very young, and you just got to get a little older here. So, yeah, I look out for Landry. I look out for Thielen. Now, Thielen is a guy you might come bring in here, and he might pull an Andre Johnson. He could just stink and can't run, and you're just going to cut him. He's 33. He's old. So just be prepared if you sign Thielen. I'd be interested in Braxton Berrios, the former New York Jet. I think he's actually quite underrated. Darius Slayton has problems catching the ball, but I think he's decent. Olamide Zaccheaus, the former Atlanta Falcon, underused in the Falcons' heavy offense, and he has experience with Charles London. You could also, I don't know if I'd call him because he's a problem head, chosen Robbie Anderson. He's a problem, and I don't know if I want him in this locker room, but that's another potential as well. So there are options here, but I think you can't go into next season. Especially now that Nick Westbrook, if he's gone, and that's one of the reasons why I might have kept him, just because, it was like, who do we have? I don't know if Kyle Phillips can do anything. I don't know. He had what, 66 yards, all of that. Can he do anything? Can he stay healthy? I don't know. Why are we convinced of anything? And then, Racey McMath, who we expect to do something at some point, but we don't know. So we need a rookie wide receiver, and we need a veteran. We need 2 wide receivers as far as I'm concerned. So that's something I think we need to spend on. And I know your boy Mason Kinsey's out there. Okay, your boy Mason Kinsey. Anyway, so with that said, let's continue on. So if we lose Nate Davis, we also lost David Long, as I mentioned earlier. Only 2 years, $11 million, but I think him and Vrabel were just done. Lose DeMarcus Walker, but you get Arden Key. So to me, that's basically equal. They do different things for sure. Arden Key is much more the athletic talent. DeMarcus Walker is much more the run stuffer and a little bit. I mean, he had more sacks last season, but much more of like that ilk. And Walker was decently tight too, coming in. Well, decently his second year in college, and then he fell off as well. So they had that in similarities as well. And he really didn't catch on until later on in his career with us. So that's interesting. But I think that's basically a net, nothing. So I think that's fine. And then there are some rumors, really just one, about who we're interested in currently, and that is inside linebacker Denzel Perryman. So despite the addition of Azeez Al-Shaair, we're still interested in apparently Denzel Perryman, who finally, I don't know what took him so long, but finally this guy really woke up last year, had a fantastic year for the Raiders. I mean, he was struggling. He would be very consistent. Let me say that for the Chargers for years. They finally moved off him. The Raiders took a chance on him. And this year he finally really showed up and did well. Now, I don't know what that deal is going to look like. I think he's going to be a starter next year and get starter money. So I think you're looking at least $8 million plus a season for Denzel Perryman. I would expect maybe even 10. And that's a bit rich. When you have Monty Rice, when you have Azeez Al-Shaair, it's a bit much. I don't know if I do that. I'd rather get DJ Chark then for $8 million. I think that's a bigger need than getting Denzel Perryman, who's a better player. But I think that's a bigger need, obviously. So I think I'd rather spend a little less for DJ Chark or one of these wide receivers than get Perryman. Even though Perryman seems to finally have figured it out, I think he's still a risk to come in here and revert back to his old play. So I don't know how down I am for this. We'll see the money on this specifically. But I think he'd get, I mean, if Arden Key's getting, and Arden Key's a pass rusher, but if he is getting $7 million a year, I'd expect Denzel Perryman to get double digits. I'd be very surprised if he didn't get double digits. So we will see when it comes to that. So overall, I think, again, I think it's medium. I don't think, we need to go crazy here and say, oh, well, this is such a great job. I'm encouraged. I like it. And we were never really going to do much anyway. I mean, look, this season is all about the draft. But I do want to know. I want to know about the strangers like me. Anyway, but I do really want to know. What are we doing big picture, though? We still don't have answers on Tannehill, on Henry. What are we doing? What's going on? And it's a bit frustrating that we don't have any real clear indication on that. By the way, there was one rumor that came out today from former GM Mike Lombardi, who says that he's hearing that Kevin Byard might, if he doesn't agree to a pay cut, he might be traded, which to me is ridiculous. And again, my thing is when it comes to potentially trading Byard, when it comes to trading Simmons, I won't even include Henry in this conversation. Who do you have? Like, you still need to have players. That's one of the problems I had with what the Bears did. Now, the Bears ended up being fine, I guess. We're going to see if it works. Because, this year they just said, F it. We're just going to sign everybody. But I still don't today, other than Roquan Smith being upset, which he was, and he was bored because they stunk and he didn't want to be on a terrible team anymore. Even when the Bears traded Roquan Smith, I'm like, okay, it's great. You traded him for a draft pick, but wait, who do you have? Because you don't have anybody. So it's like you can trade all these players for picks, but you still need to have somebody. So like Byard and Simmons, that's all that we have definitively moving forward. And maybe Landry if he comes back and he's healthy. So we still need players defensively. So until we really solidify anything defensively, I don't think Byard's going anywhere. I think it's crazy. I'm not buying that rumor. But it is a rumor that I just want to put out there. So we do have a super chat. Let's answer this super chat. I'll answer a couple more and then we will get out of here. So we have Breezy Caleb, who offers a super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Breezy Caleb, who says the following. He says, hearing from a lot of 49er fans that he, referring to Azeez Al-Shaair, is a good linebacker, just sucks to already have Greenlaw, I assume you meant, and Fred Warner. And yes, this is correct. And again, in spot duty for them, he was able to play well, but Dre, Greenlaw, and Fred Warner are so good, you're not going to get much playing time with them on your team. So I think he's going to come in here, and I think he's going to do well. And that for me is the most encouraging signing. For sure. Because even Arden Key, while I like him as a rotational pass rusher, I don't know if he's ever going to figure it out entirely and be a starter, which is fine. We didn't sign to be a starter, but I think Azeez could definitely be like a diamond in the rough and could really be a nice signing for us. So I think that's definitely the strongest of all the signings and the one that people should be most encouraged by, which again is why it's medium because it's good, but it's not, come on. Okay. Anyway, so, yeah, let's continue. I'll answer a couple more comments. We'll get out of here. Steven Aguirre says, as Sports for Entertainment, do we still draft left tackle at 11 in the draft? So this is still certainly possible, but this would be very frustrating for me. This would be, again, it would be very frustrating. But then you should have just re-signed Nate Davis then. You had your guard for $10 million a year. If you're going to play Andre Dillard at guard, you had a better guard. You had a better guard in Nate Davis who you knew, who you were familiar with, who you were comfortable with. So that swap doesn't make sense. So I'm thinking they still play Dillard at tackle. But I think, look, if they're at 11 and Paris Johnson Jr. is there and he's number one on their board, they take him. Skoronski might be a guard. I think if he's available at number 11 and he's on top of the board, they take him. The question is, are they going to be number one on their board? But the thing is, now that we're slotting some of these positions, again, I'm going to open the door, people. Look out for cornerback at 11. I think we are more likely, I honestly believe, to have a corner. I think the corners are better than the tackles. And I think if there's a better corner at 11, and I know we just took Caleb Farley yet. What pick was that we took Farley? But if we took him in the middle of the first round just a couple years ago, or maybe he was actually like in the 20s, I think you'd have to take another corner just because we don't know what we're getting for Farley. We have no idea if he can stay healthy. You know, it sounds great on paper. Farley, Fulton, McCrary. Who knows? Because Farley just cannot stay on the field. So still look out for that corner. I'm telling people because I think people are really sleeping on this. I like Christian Gonzalez. I like Joey Porter. I like them kind of better than the tackles. If they're available and they feel the same, I would not be shocked if they took one of the corners. So that is something to look out for. So with that said, that's going to do it for me and my thoughts. Hopefully we get, a couple more trinkets to come. Actually, let me answer one more comment that just came through. At Sports of Entertainment, Square Up says, what's the chances Tana Mid and Henry are both here next season? I would like to rebuild, and only having 1 foot in is pointless and could hurt us even more. I mean, that's also like one of the things about this very medium free agency thus far is just because it's like, again, this roster with Bud Dupree cut with, who else did we cut? We cut Bud, or we were supposed to cut Bud Dupree. We also cut Lawan. We cut Woods. That doesn't really matter. God knows he was irrelevant anyway. And Bullock. I mean, this team is still just treading water with these moves. So it's just like, I mean, are we just down for 8 and 9 next year? Are we just down? Is that just the plan? It's very mid, I mean, literally. So I want to get some tidbit. What are we doing? What's the plan? Is there a plan? I know, the Panthers kind of blew it up, or maybe we never even intend to do anything. But the Panthers kind of blew it up when they moved up to number 1. But we got to find out a plan here. I mean, because guys, look, I know the rebuild thing is not going to be fun. But look, if we're just going to have this medium free agency, which again is fine. I know we don't have that much cap space. But if we're going to have this medium free agency, well then F it. Just get rid of Tannehill and Henry anyway. We're not going to win next year. Even if you have a great draft class, even if you draft Randy Moss, and there's no Randy Moss. So even if you draft Randy Moss or Justin Jefferson in the first round, next year is going to be mid. Okay? And that's not going to happen, by the way. So it's going to be mid. So if it's going to be mid, I'm over Tannehill. I'm over it. God, I do not want to see 37-year-old, 38-year-old Tannehill on this roster. Look what just happened with Matt Ryan. It's going to be even worse because Matt Ryan was at least better for most of his career. Although Tannehill's more athletic, so maybe he'll last a little bit longer than Ryan, but I don't know if that's true because Matt Ryan didn't have injuries in his career. Tannehill has, okay? It's specifically last season. So we're going to see. We are going to see what happens there. But for right now, again, not terrible, not great. Let's see if anything else comes on the pipeline. If so, I'll cover it right here on Sports Fan Entertainment. Until next time, I'm out. See you all later.